from Studio A at 1 Biloxi Square in Lake Worth, Texas. Welcome in, everybody, to the Grandpa and Pappy Show, a Friday edition underway, and we are happy to have you with us.
Indeed we are. Welcome aboard, everybody.
We hope everyone is safe and sound this morning as the COVID thing keeps going on, and the protest up in Portland is continuing, even though we got federal officers up there now protecting all the federal buildings and
Be on like Donkey Kong.
making arrests for those who are trying to destroy it.
That's right.
And for those who are opposing having the federal officers up there, let me just put it that way. I mean, if they're up there to protest, that's fine. But if they start getting destructive, shall I say, Pappy, then that's another whole story.
Shame on them. Mm-hmm. Shame upon them.
We got a good show this morning.
Yeah.
We got a lot of comments, Pappy, as we
usual.
talk about should we bring back the draft here in America. Mm-hmm.
You know, that's pretty controversial to a lot of the young ones out there. I mean,
Well,
they don't even want a job. Why would they want in the military?
Ain't it so? Ain't it so? Well, I'll tell you, for those of you who are 18 years of age out there, when you turn 18 by law,
By God.
you have to register
Go
for
to
the
your-
draft.
Go to your local post office and do your civil duty.
That's exactly correct. I think you can do it online now.
Can
But you have to register for the draft, even though the draft is not being used to fill our military with conscripts.
Well, I'm sure we're headed for a time that we'll need a draft to be re-implemented.
Well, Pappy, really, I hate to say it, but you may be absolutely correct.
And that's okay. I mean, if that's the way you cats want to play.
Yeah. The tensions between the United States and China is heating up, shall we say.
Yep.
The U.S. caught China at their embassy in Houston stealing information from places like Texas A&M, their research facility down there.
Joke's on them.
Yeah, I just got it. Thank you.
They had to throw a dig in there.
Yes, you did. But they have told the Chinese to close down their consulate there in Houston, and China is not happy about it. But
Oh, well, they can have Houston as far as I'm concerned.
well,
they already do. Really.
pretty much.
Yep.
But today's show, as usual, has garnered quite a bit of comments from you folks out there.
Oh, man.
Some of you are for it, some of you are against it. We're going to read them all.
We shall hash this out together.
We sure will. So without further ado, Pappy, what you say, we just jump right in the middle of our comments and go
Let's do
from
it.
there.
Let's do it.
Today's show, of course, should we bring back the draft? Well, George Schultz says it won't happen, but yes. Also, a 2-year enlistment by all people should be done. A little guidance and structure would do a lot for these young people to be better people. Just my feelings.
You know what? That couldn't be better said, in my opinion. That sounds like something Pop would say, you know. Pop is a wise old fart. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, just some of the things you've told me. It's amazing.
Yeah. Juliana Thixton Payray said no. Just organized neighborhood militias.
I've heard that several times, too.
I'm not so sure that would work.
I'm not really...
I don't want to drive home from the studio, you know, from Biloxi Square and see barrels hanging out of people's windows as I'm driving by.
Yeah.
That's
I
just a
can
little
understand
unnerving
that.
to somebody like me, you know what I mean?
Johnny Williams says yes, 2 years required service in their choice of military. You know, used to when they had the draft back in the 60s and 70s, you were drafted into the Army.
Yep.
And if you wanted to, you could join the Marines, the Air Force, the Navy,
Yeah.
Coast Guard, you name it.
But, you know, and that was fluctuated a little bit about what branch of the service, because I'd always heard that.
Yeah.
And when they called number 16 out and made everybody 1, 2, 3 up on the stage that had been called in our area, I was told I was going to be a jarhead. I said, I don't think so. You're trying to get me hurt. My whole family's ground pounders, man.
I heard that.
I like Jackie Landry's comment. She said kids of today could not fill out the paperwork.
That even got Special K on that one.
Ain't it so?
Bob Baker said no. There should be mandatory military service after high school graduation before college admission.
And I think
There's something to be said about that.
I think it ought to be a choice.
Yeah.
If you're not going to go get an education, we'll educate you for you. Welcome aboard.
We'll show you the way the real world is.
Good. Lisa Newcomer Brown said no, unless it's absolutely needed.
Well, yeah, I could see that.
You have to put everything in place, because it's not like if World War broke out with China, for example. Well, we need to draft some people.
Because they got billions over there.
Yep.
Yeah. Shirley Mills said, I think so. It kept many young men in school and studying hard so that they would not get drafted. Many enlisted, like my husband, when they graduated high school so they could afford a college degree when they got out. Plus, the military makes good, strong men out of punk kids.
Well said, cuz.
Shirley.
Well said, yeah.
Good job there.
She don't have a bit of problems telling it like it is. Robert Berry said young men have to still register for the draft because it's a law. But the U.S. government is not drafting any because of volunteers or so many. It wouldn't be a bad idea to draft them, though, because it would teach them discipline and respect for our country, teachings that they are not getting at home or at school these days.
Now, that's putting it like it is.
What a slang about guy to old Robert.
Oh, yeah, way to go, Robert.
Yep.
Have mercy on me. That's a good one. Eddie Dixon and Buddy Whiteley said absolutely.
Yeah.
They need it.
Yeah, I agree. Harold Dixon said everyone is listed and ready to be called, but most don't know that. I'm not for it because idiots are still idiots, and that would ruin the rest. There are still great patriots out there, but a fool is born every minute.
Ain't it so?
Well, that'd be like me, just like Pop's telling you. Pop told me, you ain't got no business going to Nam, boy. Somebody scream, get down, you stand up, start shaking your butt, screwing around, get shot.
John Bossy said, I think we should be like Israel. It's a requirement. It would take a generation to undo what has been done.
At least. At least.
Oh, man.
I mean, sometimes spoiled fruit hangs on the tree for a long time, if you know what I mean.
There's another pappyism.
Yeah,
I love it.
Might take a little longer than one generation. Sandy Lala or Layla Bennett Armistead says she is torn on this issue. I have a 16-year-old boy. He's talked about going in. It terrifies me.
Well, I'm sure that's the same feelings a lot of moms have, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, we trust that the moms that it terrifies are disciplining those boys at home.
Yeah, well, raise him right, and he'll come back home a better man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Chris Schomburg said no to the draft. These snowflakes would bring down the standards too much.
I kind of figured you left this one for me.
Oh.
The divine one, Helen Johnson, said no. Why should we send our young men to wars that we can't win?
Yeah. I respect that. Yeah. But as far as the wars we can't win, I'm not so sure about that.
No, we could win any war we wanted to. I mean,
yeah, as long as the politicians stay out of it.
Absolutely.
Tammy Quick Kroll said, are you kidding? All of these 18-year-old babies would die.
Many of them have. Many of them have. Yeah. Ross Miller says he's all for it, regardless if we are not in a conflict. Letting one of the drill instructors get a hold of some of these pansy-ass kids and make them a man is not a bad thing. The military teaches you love for your country, and you'll want to defend it at all costs. That is something they will not get in school or universities.
You are no longer a human being.
That's right.
You are a carbon unit Yeah,
carbon unit.
I can just hear it.
Them old drill instructors are some badasses.
They're bad boys. Dora Jean Jordan said yes. These young ones need to learn respect for what they have.
I agree, but doesn't that pretty much start at home?
Yeah. Home, at home and at school.
I've still got, or did till Hurricane Harvey took some of the toys I had when I was a child.
Well, look at you.
I guess.
You lost your teddy bear.
I did.
Now that is a shame, Pat.
That pissed me off. Justin Agee said the draft never went away. There is still a draft. That's where I'm inclined to disagree with you, Justin.
No, there still is. I mean, they can institute it any time.
Then there'll be a draft. When they abolished the draft, that's what kept me out of the armed forces.
Well, they just didn't pull the numbers anymore to bring them in. I mean, there were so many volunteers that's why they let the draft kind of go back in the closet.
Yeah.
But it's still there. That's why you have to register.
Oh, yeah.
All they have to do, all the president would have to do, or maybe it's the Congress, will say institute the draft again, and bam, it's a done deal. Let's see here. Jackie Landry posted a sign to us that said, "A generation taught to hate the country will refuse to defend it as well."
That's a good point.
That's a very good point.
Very, very true. Thanks for sending that in, Jack. Big Matt Bannister says an army of volunteers is stronger than one that is forced.
Now, there's thought behind that.
That's a good
Matt.
point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
People that join the military voluntarily, they just have a thread about them, you know.
Yeah.
Willingness to serve. I agree with you, Matt, on that point. Russell Curlin said yes. Do it the same way the Swedes do. 2 years of mandatory service. Let the snowflakes see what the world is about and how thankful they should be to live where they do. I have seen some of the biggest a-holes on earth in 20 years of service. I bet you have.
Very dedicated man to his country, old Russ is. Ryan Toll says the draft still exists and is mandatory for every male of voting age to be registered for it. It is indeed for a time when we need a stronger force than what is currently in our ranks voluntarily. Lucky for us, it hasn't been needed in several decades, but many of our greatest generation were drafted into war.
They were.
I got a lot of friends that are buried because of that. The real question to ask yourself here is, now that women are allowed to be in combat roles in the military, should they be required to sign up for the draft at 18 as well?
And that's a good question.
My answer is yes.
Well, you could look at it several ways. I mean, until the Gulf War, women were not allowed on the front lines, but now you have women who are commanders and leading troops into battle.
Yeah.
So, that could be a tricky question. Old-time guys like us, sometimes we say, no, don't let the women go in.
Well, and I'm inclined to agree with what you just said. I mean,
but times are changing.
It's no longer a world or a country to where women are required to be home and raise the kids and cook and scrub the floor. I mean, times have changed.
Yeah.
But you want to be a soldier? Register.
And that's true. That's true. Just go ahead and join. Yeah. Deborah Brusso-Folio agreed with Ryan Towle by saying, I believe women should have to register also. But Sherry Briggs-Cone disagreed, saying, no, most women would never consider it.
Yeah. They look at you like a bigot staring at a damn pocket watch. Are you crazy? You want me to do what? I don't think so. But there's guys as well that does that.
That's true. That's true.
Michelle Purviance Brown and Ron Hanway says absolutely.
Mary Adams Childers said yes. I think that it would give our young men and women a job, a sense of responsibility, and hopefully they will learn to appreciate our great America.
See, that's what we're starting to lack.
Yeah.
This day and age.
Yeah.
Everybody's stomping on the flag, burning it. You know,
I tell you, it
What the
makes
hell?
this old boy it makes me sick in my stomach.
Oh man,
It really does.
fried egg on my ball spot when I see stuff.
And
like
yesterday they had the opening game for
that.
baseball.
Boy,
The Mets and the Yankees, and all of them are on their knees.
yeah, all the way around the damn field like a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, and that's what our Monday show is going to be about. And Lord have mercy, have you people answered? I asked the question, with all this stuff going on in professional sports, will you watch it?
No,
And here we go. Comments the last time that I looked, and we'll be reading them all. So you'll want to join us Monday for that one. Let's see here. Where we at?
Lisa Newcomer Byram emphatically said no. I have a 21-year-old son who works his ass off and never asked for a dime, and no, I do not want him going away.
Well, good for him.
Yeah,
Works his butt off. He don't ask for nothing.
there you go.
Johnny Northcutt says he really believes that the youth of today needs some type of guidance. Most of our youth are good people that have character, and the young people around here love America. Also, my son just retired after 22 years in the United States Air Force. It did wonders for him. Johnny,
Thank you for your service.
thank
bud.
your son very, very much.
You know, that's a great point as well.
And Johnny's a man of character,
And
too.
he is. Not all kids today are worthless. I mean, you are what you're raised to be, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree more.
You know, I've had friends that come from a very, very bad background, family background.
Yeah.
And first thing they did, they'd either drop out of school and enlist after they graduated,
Or
or
wind up in jail.
wind up getting their ass in trouble. No judge says, we got a choice, boy.
Mm-hmm.
You can go serve your country in the armed forces, or you can go to jail.
Yeah.
And it straightened a lot of them out.
It did. It did, but you don't have a lot of judges like that anymore.
Got a lot of them killed too, but
Have any testicles to them, let's put it that way.
yeah. Eddie Factor said, if we're able to bring back the draft, could you foresee Canada building a wall then? I wish the hell they would anyway.
To keep them out.
Them Canucks noses out our butts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Frank Edgar said, in basic training, I served with what we were told was the last draftee. He was crazy, or was persistent enough to pull off being crazy. He was extremely disruptive to normal training. I served with men who had been drafted. Way too many of the Vietnam era draftees were worthless. If I forced you to take a job you didn't want, what kind of employee would you make?
Good point.
Many draftees were great folks, though, and performed wonderfully, but the percentage of those who were worthless far outweighed the benefits. Not to mention the overload of our VA system that they had with a variety of drug and alcohol treatment issues for years.
That's well said, Frank. And you have a great point. I mean, I wouldn't want to do a job that I didn't like, especially hiding in a foxhole for
Ducking bullets. Yeah.
four bits an hour. You know.
Yeah.
Screw
Now,
that.
that's the thing that just kills me. Just kills me about our military. And President Trump has tried to do as much as he could. He did give them a raise, got them a raise. But these kids, I say kids, these men and women are not making enough, in my opinion, to even stay in. They must love it. They must love it, Pappy.
Well, some of them are dedicated, I guess.
Yeah, some of them are very dedicated, and of course they have some good benefits too. And when they get through, they can use the military as a way to get their education, if that's the way they want to go. Housing, yeah,
You know, and a whole lot of my respect.
yeah, absolutely.
You know, they were raised, what Pops used to say, was raised proper. You know,
Yeah,
you raise them to learn how to live up to their commitments and responsibilities. And
now I know this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but in my opinion, it just popped in my head here. In my opinion, when they stop letting schools do corporal punishment, the paddling,
yeah,
that's when the respect factor started going down or disappeared.
it's not fair to us old parts that used to get our butts blistered.
Ooh.
Now, it's child abuse if you put them in the corner, you know.
And a 6-year-old child can call Child Protective Services because he doesn't like what mommy or daddy made him do, and they can take him away.
They can divorce their parents.
Mm-hmm.
The hell
I
kind
heard
of crap
that.
is that? You know? Daddy, I want a divorce, bro. Smack.
Yeah. Well, pack your bags and get the hell out of here.
Let the doorknob hit you with a good Lord split you, boy.
That's it.
Charlie George says, I like the idea of joining what Israel does. At 17, all served, the males for 3 years and females for 2 years. Mm-hmm. Our prisons would most likely be much smaller. Discipline's a must, and with so many children without any guidance at home, I think we should. Let me hasten to add, I don't agree with women on the front lines in combat. Too many issues with this. Well, what I'm thinking.
You ever been around a woman during that time of the month?
We're on the same page. Just group them. I mean, they have ways of researching this to where they can get about 30, 40,000 women that was born in the same month. You know, I mean, with the same cycle thing.
It'll turn them loose.
End of problem. Yeah, let's drop them off, and probably wouldn't lose a one.
Oh, we're getting the look. We're getting easy now, Carrot. Easy.
Especially if they put the stink eye on me on that, did you?
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I think
Help
it's
me.
a splendid idea.
Okay. Mm-hmm. We had 3 girls growing up, and it was tough sometimes, boy. It was tough.
Thank God for little girls, but I had 3 boys, and there's probably a good reason for that.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
That's true.
Somewhere.
Let's see here. Russell Curlin said, yes, I like the way Sweden does it. 2 years mandatory service, then every citizen is a National Guard. The little turds in this country have no idea about the world.
Yep.
For crying out loud, they don't even know we use Arabic numbers.
He saw that post.
Or who was a slave owner in our history.
Yeah.
Yep. A little time getting a drill sergeant in their face with no safe place to go would help.
Yeah, well. And they don't have any sympathy when you cry.
I keep thinking about back to that movie. There's 2 movies, Officer and a Gentleman, and Full Metal Jacket.
I liked them both.
You know, the drill sergeants there, boy, they just were brutal.
I like Gomer Pyle's drill sergeant. Old Frank, what's his name?
Sergeant Carter.
Surprise.
Golly.
Last but not least, Donna Briggs Moss says she is not sure she wants him in the military. It's not the military that should have to straighten him out. I agree. Starts at home.
Just what you were saying a while ago, Pappy.
Yeah. Don't you think putting a weapon in their hands just might be a bad idea?
Whoa, that's heavy right there.
I know a lot of kids that applies to. Mm-hmm. Who guarantees they are changed in America loving citizens? Do you think prison reforms the bad guys? Think again. Just look at the stats.
Donna, that's a very good post.
That's right.
Good job, girl.
Run for public office with that kind of thought.
Of course, she was that smart when she was growing up, too. So. Yeah. I hope you're doing well over there in Florida, Donna.
Is that where Miss Donna is?
Miss Donna is in Florida.
Flow rider?
Yeah, and her husband, Gary, is a retired U.S. Air Force person. Yeah. And he's also a college professor. He's doing a lot of classes online. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Gary, for your service.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you married a good woman. You surely did. But, you know, you could go on and on and on about the draft. Should it not? You know.
Will it help?
You know, you can tell from the comments, you know, people are still kind of torn on this because we got some good ones for it and some good ones against it. So you can see it's kind of down the middle on that.
I mean, even back, 100 years ago when I was going to junior high and high schools, they had the ROTC program.
Yeah, yeah.
All the way up through college.
They still do.
Yeah. And it helps. You know, I mean, if you're planning on going in to the armed forces, it helps. I mean, you can go in with a little brass on your shoulder, or a little stripe or whatever, And I think it helps. But there again, those type of kids were raised right. Most of them, the majority of them that I knew, their parents, one or the other of their parents was a veteran. Dad asked me, he said, "You ought to get an ROTC," and I said, well, I didn't say what I was thinking about what he ought to get.
No, that wouldn't have been safe.
I got the big thumb, that Duke.
Wouldn't have been good for your health.
No, it would have made my butt hurt real bad. But, I mean, I can see where it helped. Looking back, I mean, we used to hate ROTCs. We used to hate them because they all had funny haircuts and dressed funny, Had to wear their little uniforms. And of course, we were ignorant back then. Didn't realize that most of these guys are probably some of the most successful people in walking the U.S. soil. But
and they were instilled with discipline and respect way back then,
and even
starting early.
Even though they look like nerds, they'd whoop your ass if you messed with them.
A lot of them would,
They would.
That's for sure. But we understand, that there's a lot of pros and cons about bringing it back. But I do want to thank the person who suggested this.
It's a good topic.
And thank him very much for that. And most of all, thank you guys for your comments. Once again, you came through with flying colors on the comments.
That's because our listeners rock.
They do rock.
They do. Who sent that in? Do you recall?
Oh, golly, I knew you was going to ask me that. No, I don't remember, but it's on our webpage.
But you know who you are, and we thank you for that.
Absolutely. Now, we originally were going to talk Monday, Pappy, and we're still going to make a program of it. If you were in charge of your child's school curriculum,
oh Lord,
what would it be and why? We're still going to have a program on that. But the fact that we have just been inundated with comments about the sports teams and some of the things they're planning on doing, I was reading an article that I put in our a Facebook page that the NBA was going to put Black Lives Matter on the side of the court, on the out-of-bounds side, and that Major League Baseball was going to be unfolding their Black Lives Matter around the pitcher's mounds. And
around the pitcher's mound?
Around the pitcher's mound, yeah.
Oh, Lord.
And the NFL...
We're going to print them on the footballs?
Well, the NFL is going to allow players to put helmet stickers on with the names of black men that have been killed by police.
Yeah.
I think they need to include the records of them, police records.
Not enough room on a helmet for all those names.
Yeah.
I mean,
come on.
I'm still under the conviction
this.
All lives matter. I don't give a damn
does.
if you're pink with green polka dots. All lives matter.
You look at TV today, and every other commercial seems like it's BLM this, BLM that. It's time for unity, time for this. Why don't we just come together as a country,
Why can't
as
we just
American?
all get along?
That's it. Well, we should have a good show on Monday, but
yeah, I imagine
I am going to let you read the very first one of the viewer comments that we got in from our viewers. Go ahead.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah, you love this, don't you?
I do.
Mark posted, Mark's from Arkansas, okay?
Yeah.
He posted comments on YouTube saying, "Hey, Pappy, I apologize for throwing you in Facebook jail." Son of a bitch, I figured that was you. It's one of the last acts they allow me to do at work. Why would they allow him to do that at work?
I have no idea.
He's on the community standards board, I bet.
I have no idea.
Oh, what a nutwad. I must admit it is fun throwing random netizens in timeout. Keep up the good work. Well, I intend to keep up the good work. Karma's a bitch, big boy.
Ain't it so?
Karma's a bitch. Just remember those words.
Yep. Yep, I knew you was going to love that one. I was reading that one to laugh my butt off. Al Baker said our show on the governor possibly shutting down the Texas economy was interesting.
Yeah.
It seems your viewer comments were a little torn. I say keep it open and let the chips fall where they may.
I agree, yeah.
Well, we did have some positives and mostly positives and some negatives that we read. We sure did.
Well, it kind of makes me wonder what the hell's going to happen if, indeed, everybody finds out it was the biggest scam in the history of the U.S., or political scam anyway. Because I still have a gut feeling there is a political agenda involved in this.
I am right there with you.
Nobody's going to convince me any different. So, anyway. Roger Morris said if protesters came on his property, I would have the wife call 911. If they continue to come on my property, the 911 call would be to dispatch lots of ambulances. I want to report protesters on my property. When y'all get out here, just bring
some ambulances.
Pine boxes full of body bags, okay?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yep. Michelle Graves said she just subscribed last week and just now catching up on our shows. Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
I binged watched over the weekend. Cool. I just wanted to tell you that your Mother's Day tribute show really touched my heart. So many people bragging on their moms, whether past or present, made me call my mom and have a long talk with her. I enjoy your show.
Thank you so much for saying that. And it makes my heart smile that it gave you
the incentive
or inkling or whatever you want to call it, to call your mom.
Yeah.
I mean, you should do that every day anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
I miss talking to my mom.
I do too. If you have a comment or concern or an idea for a subject, it's very easy to get a hold of us.
Yeah.
We have an email address that you can send it right to, grandpaandpappy@gmail.com. You can see it right over my shoulder here.
That's the magic link. But wait, if that doesn't toot your whistle, fellow viewers, you can get in touch with us directly on our website at grandpaandpappy.com. While you're there, you'll see a big red button. It looks just like that one. Push that rascal, devise a simple, easy to remember password. Leave a thumbs up, thumbs down, or shoot Jack a finger or whatever. And any comment or suggestion you might have for the show, because we love that kind of stuff.
We sure do.
We love your participation. If it's worthy of talking about, we'll get on it like a goose on a June bug.
One quick thing before we close up today's show. Notice my shirt here.
Represent.
We have had a lot of you asking where you could get these T-shirts.
Yeah.
And my colleague over here to my left will be able to tell you a little bit more about that in the coming days.
Yep. Look for them to come up soon. Slight design change, but we'll have two different designs for you. One, if you want to spend a little more money and look extra cool, or if you just want to be Fonzie cool, we're trying to keep them to where everybody can afford them.
Absolutely.
And I know some of you can afford an announcer shirt, and all, so we're going to try to do both, and I'm working on a deal on caps too. So, but that might not be so soon.
You had a lot of compliments on your shirt yesterday that you were wearing. Very good.
Yeah.
We want to invite you to join us on Monday as we talk about pro sports teams and what they're doing, about the what they call racial injustice.
That will open up a can of worms right there.
It will, and I invite you to keep those comments coming in, because even if it takes me all weekend to transcribe them, I'm going to do it so that we can read all of them here on the Grandpa and Pappy Show on Monday.
I am. It's the binding's getting tight on all these policies and rules and political changes and.
Well, it's getting to where the average guy who loves sports are going to turn it off.
I don't intend to watch anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, we were at our new undisclosed field office yesterday, and the only reason I was watching the Rangers play because it was right in front of me.
You couldn't help it.
That you kept making comments, so it was easy to divert my attention.
We want to thank you guys for joining us today. Have a great weekend and be safe. And as we always tell you, give your children a big hug and let them know you love them.
Let them know we love them too.
Absolutely.
In fact, we love you guys. Y'all rock. Y'all are the greatest people in the world.
Be safe and be healthy. And until Monday,
take care of one another.
Absolutely. Monday, we'll see you and we'll do it again.
Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye,
See
everybody.
You,
see you.